been working twice as hard for something you already got. Another orange morning, it's time to show. Another orange morning, it's time to grow. Another orange morning, let the updates flow. Another orange morning, you already know. Friends are coming through the door. Wheels are spinning on the floor. We don't know what we don't know. That's the only way to grow. Another orange morning, it's time to show. Another orange morning, it's time to grow. Another orange morning, let the updates flow. Another orange morning, you already know. What you're looking for is in your hand, been there all along. Pour another cup and pull a chair. Sing along. Another orange morning, it's time to show. Another orange morning, it's time to grow. Another orange morning, let the updates flow. Another orange morning, you already know.
Good morning, HubSpot Nation, and also Casey Hawkins. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Another nice day. I'm kind of glad we're starting this show in like spring. So since we're calling it another orange morning, I went very like orange sunrise with the imagery here. It just fits spring, I feel like, a little better than the winter when it's dark.
Sure. I like that. I like that reasoning. Yeah, good to be back. Was fun yesterday. Will It Workflow paid off, I think. In true HubSpot fashion, we just pressed the button and then all of a sudden had 10 ideas like come up for what we could do. So I look forward to doing that again today. Also had a few people let us know that they tried to spin the wheel. If anybody else wants to spin the wheel, you can go to anotherorangemorning.com/wheel and test your Will It Workflow skills. We got some updates to talk about. I guess I should put them on the screen then.
You're in charge of I've done my part.
Indeed.
Yeah, so we have some updates to talk about. There's a couple on here that are interesting to me. I'm just going to do honorable mentions for export marketing emails to PDF and HTML and real messages no longer in spam. I think those were like betas, but went live, but we've talked about them before. Both are really nice. I'm personally excited about the export marketing emails to PDF and HTML because I've done this painfully for years. So happy to see that. But I think
that in 2026, we're still in the business of exporting emails.
For all of us that are still living in that world,
come on, folks. Let's yeah.
But I think there are some bigger, newer ones here. The new folder tree view in File Manager is very interesting to me, but I'm gonna click on TikTok lead syncing. I know this one probably is not super exciting to Chris's world necessarily, but I do think this is a big update and worth calling out.
Yeah. Interesting that this showed up because I was listening to Hub Heroes yesterday, and Max was mentioning how problematic short form video created by AI is becoming on TikTok. I can't imagine there's any relationship to TikTok leads I'm being facetious when I say that. I'm sure there's a heavy relationship towards trying to generate leads on TikTok. So, since you're doing it, HubSpot is going to support you in that effort. Lead syncing is a data sync from an ad network into HubSpot. When a person fills out a lead generation form on TikTok, called a TikTok instant form, HubSpot automatically creates or updates a contact in your CRM with the information they submitted.
Why does this matter? TikTok lead generation ads let users fill out a form directly within TikTok without ever visiting your website. Without lead syncing, these leads stay trapped in TikTok's platform, and your team would need to manually export and import them, causing delays and lost opportunities. Speed to lead is critical. The faster you follow up with a lead, the higher the conversion rate. By automatically syncing TikTok leads into HubSpot in real time, your team can immediately engage with them through workflows, sequences, and sales follow-ups. This has existed in LinkedIn ads and Facebook or Meta ads for a really long time. And I have always been really happy with the performance of the in-platform forms like this, in lead generating aspects at least. So happy to see it expand. I didn't know that TikTok had these forms too, but if any ad platform has these and you're not able to automatically sync them to HubSpot, then you're losing a lot of value in having to manually export them. So great.
Yeah. Is lead syncing a new phrase that's being described here? I know there's been lots of lead capture on the other platforms, but I feel like since there's explaining lead syncing in this first sentence, that maybe that's a new phrase, or is that always been a
I
thing?
don't know if I've heard this phrase. Maybe it is. There's a setting. Actually, you know what? It's easier if I go from here. Oh, but you don't have ads connected. Never mind. Not easier too. There are like settings for forms specifically in the ads. This one's not connected. This is a bad example.
Yeah, don't look at the value first ecosystem at all if you want to learn about ads. Like we'll mention it because HubSpot's going to have updates here, but yeah, I hear you. And I know this. I mean, this is the cool part about HubSpot, right? Like you can do this in TikTok. I know a bunch of people are doing it, so they've done a lot of TikTok development in the social and ads over the last few months.
Lead syncing has always been the term. Yeah, it's the term used
Okay.
in the settings.
Okay, fair enough.
Here is the ad setting, and you have lead syncing, a lead syncing setting. This account just has LinkedIn turned on, but in
Okay.
theory, if I had if I was connecting Meta, if I had Meta connected, I would be able to add that too. And then if I opted into this beta, I would have TikTok as well.
Okay.
And then conversion events is interesting too, but I'm guessing that's like related. So I'll just feature one today.
Yeah, lots of TikTok. If you're doing stuff on TikTok, especially ads and lead forms, HubSpot's taking care of you, and you should check it out. I know, like maybe one of my nerdiest moments is when I get excited about file manager updates. So I would love to hit on that. Especially like today was another day where I asked AI, developing new processes for content and AI, and I told Claude, I was like, hey, instead of this thing that you're saying, we're gonna have transcripts in HubSpot instead. And it was like, here's your 3 options. And it was like note on a record, property on a record, some other thing that wasn't file manager on a record. And I was like, no, you're forgetting about the file manager. Like here's the folder that this stuff's gonna go in. It's like, oh, okay. So this team has been working hard to create like a true digital asset management platform inside of HubSpot. So kind of exactly. Nico, excited about a nested tree structure in HubSpot. Thank you for joining us. And Lauren, I get it.
Thanks, Lauren.
Weird to be like I'm the curmudgeon, but like in a digital way, like not the old ways. I don't know. I get it. Like some people just need their PDFs. But this folder tree view, a new folder tree view in the file manager that displays all files and folders in a clear hierarchical structure. It lets you expand and collapse folders to see nested content at a glance and move assets between folders via drag and drop on or marquee select with familiar interactions. HubSpot also consolidated the previous upload/folder create options that used to be in the upper right of the file manager into a single create or upload button on the left above the file tree. Probably the biggest change that you'll have to get used to there.
Why does this matter? Managing large libraries of files can quickly become difficult when folder structures are deep or scattered. The folder tree gives you a single organized view of your entire file system, making it easier to find, group, and maintain assets without losing context. For HubSpot admins or users working with high volumes of files, this means less time spent searching and reorganizing and more time focusing on creating and publishing content. The improved structure also reduces errors when moving or nesting files across campaigns and projects. This looks really nice. I like the folder structure here a lot because in the old view, like once you were in a folder, it was kind of a little hard to find your way out and into another one. I also am very excited about all the updates to the file manager. I think historically it's been really hard to find files in HubSpot, and then you have a million duplicates, kind of like you see here even. And you're like, wait, which one? I actually have a client who had a quarterly update to their email footer. They would just, add their latest badges and stuff like that. And every time I went to update it, I would find like these one-off things that someone had updated, added another one. So it just, when you have a bunch of duplicates in there, it can really cause a lot of confusion.
Indeed. Always nice to show best practices in our screenshots. As we see 3 screenshot files of the logo. Anywho, luckily the file manager is now in a place where you can keep that stuff clean. They've done a bunch with like Google Drive integration too. And all of this makes it easier for your AI to see stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to hit on before we dive into the object of the day?
We don't have to dive into any of them, but just calling out like handoff calls from customer agent to IVR. What's IVR? A different system, I guess. We also have Sandbox support for copying sequences, a lot of new Sandbox support coming out, so that's all great. And then the help desk board layout redesign. If you're using help desk, they are always making changes to make it easier for your team.
Can you just click on that screenshot real quick, make it a little bit bigger?
So it looks like a deal view almost.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to settle down on the board redesigns anytime soon. It's been so hard to keep up with CRM and index pages and these views across the different workspaces. So hopefully they're finding the place that everybody likes. but it does look a lot nicer. They've been doing a lot more colors, even if you don't have access to the maroon view anymore. Moving on to our object of the day, and it is projects.
Projects.
If you haven't seen projects yet, I think we're at the point where, let's see, we've got task, custom properties. You gotta talk about tasks if you're gonna talk projects. Tasks is almost a 100% full object now. Definitely has custom properties. And projects has been built into things like the customer success workspace. And it full project management inside HubSpot, I'd say. It's been very cool to watch this kind of show up since Inbound, when it was called Inbound last year in 2025.
You don't get the buzzer.
No buzzer there.
Yeah, go ahead.
You go.
I was just going to say, if you don't see projects in the CRM menu, there's two options. One, you might not have access to it, but if you're a super admin or that's not the issue. The other thing, I just wanted to call out that it's one of those objects that you do have to like activate. So that's an important like first step if you find projects to be something you want to test out or try. You'll have to go into the data model in your settings and activate it.
Yes, indeed. And I'm going to share my screen since I've actually got some projects over here to show with some tasks. And the coolest thing that, and I never thought I'd say this, but the Gantt chart view was one of the coolest things that I think came with this development. And again, when you're thinking about HubSpot as an agentic customer platform, this is a project that I just made via the command line as I work with Claude Code. And so this is the project record. Here's all of the tasks related to that project. Of course, AI is good enough to get all of this done in one day. But this whole like nested structure in HubSpot was very cool to start seeing this, especially with tasks. A lot of people love this visual. And you can have this visual for other objects, including deals and services, and maybe even custom objects now. I don't know how far it goes. But we can thank projects for bringing this experience into HubSpot. And as Casey mentioned, if you go over to data model view, edit data model, and we have projects here, you'll see a button to activate. And you can click to edit the object name. We can deactivate it. Like this data model space, it's like half of the reason I want to have an object of the day, just so I can come in here and show like if data model management has been tough for you and you're like, where do I go? I want to go to the object. Now I got to go properties. That's in a different place. How do I, right? They've been doing a great job of bringing that all together. And we have our associations here too. And if I can go into projects, right? Projects can associate, with all of the things, just like everything else. So projects is a real object. And if you've been having trouble, I mean, definitely if you're doing project management, a spreadsheet of some sort, please, just don't even think twice about bringing that stuff into HubSpot. I had a great conversation with the Commerce Hub team yesterday about contracts and billing, and the concept of milestone billing is very interesting and people get excited about it. But when you think about what those milestones are usually based on, it's often like project work and implementation that the person that's going to send out the invoice for that milestone being completed, they're not responsible for that. So usually they're having to call up somebody else and understand like, hey, did that thing get done? Or they're having to go into a different system. Now you can have that project data like in HubSpot to support that kind of commerce billing experience, unifying views in a way like we haven't been able to before. So all of the
Yeah,
reasons.
do you have like top use cases for the projects tool? I mean, you said like anyone that's using a spreadsheet. I think when projects got introduced, one of the things that kind of resonated with me was onboarding. So that's tracked between sales all the way to service, because that's something that kind of happens across teams. Any other kind of top use cases in your opinion?
Oh, I mean, when you look at the objects that we can associate with,
Mhm.
like campaigns, this is where it gets kind of awkward. Like the way that there's been tasks over in marketing and tasks over in sales and tasks everywhere, they've been bringing all that together. But I think of it as like anything that's intentional project work. And often, whether it's a spreadsheet or your deal pipeline stages go on too long because you're trying to track post close one, activity and
Mhm.
delivery, or you're using tickets for this stuff. If you
Mhm.
can separate tickets as a help desk, kind of reactive triage focused objects,
Mhm.
like projects is intended to be like planned, proactive. We're going to get this done. So it's built for that. Um, really anything after the sale, uh, there's lots of project work to be done. So delivery, I think, is for something besides onboarding, then like anything you have to deliver is usually a
Mhm.
project related to that.
Yeah.
That teams want more visibility and accessibility to. It's a time. It's a time for Will It Workflow, Casey.
Let's do it.
All righty.
All right, we'll spin the wheel and see which object app. Okay, feedback submission.
Oh
Ooh,
wow.
configure price quote, auto create a record. Okay. From scratch. I usually start, well, you can't survey. I can do a survey response. I usually start with these with a manual trigger just because it is easier to kind of go back and figure out what the trigger is when in this specific thing. But I do wonder, could we create record? I don't know. Can we create a quote? No. We can't create a quote. We could create an opportunity, which is also known as a deal in some. So my thought here, let me talk through. I'm thinking, you send a feedback survey to your current customers. Maybe you launched a new feature and you're getting feedback on that new feature. And if people had a positive experience with the trial, maybe then you're opening an my thought was maybe you're opening an opportunity so that you can like put together what the pricing would look like on that feature for that customer and start kind of a sales conversation around that.
Yeah,
That was my thinking.
I think so. Like, and this is where the word like feedback submission as HubSpot object, there's other triggers in the workflow, probably related to feedback submissions, that's related to like the survey activity. So I'd be interested if you could just explore that real quick.
You mean
'Cause I-
the
like, so it says like when an event occurs. And I think the example was actually a survey being completed, right? And
yeah, because this is a survey response, when the event is created is kind of
okay. So that naturally, so the survey response is what's representing the feedback submission record.
And then I'd probably want to filter the survey response to have like, let's do rating is greater than 6. Assuming this is like 1 out of 10. So we're saying what they rated, let's say the new feature, a 7, 8, 9, or 10.
How about we do like a 9, like
Okay.
greater than 9.
Sure.
And then let's add a step. So all you have to do is be nice to us and love our products. So click save.
Yeah, add a step here.
Yeah. And can we add, I would like, so here you could create a deal and add a line item. Right? And I think that's where,
we can create a quote. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's not in the create record. Okay.
Right. So this is where like the configure price quote, calling that an app, got us both off track, I think here. Basically deals, line items, quotes, you can see create renewal quote from a contract, right? So maybe we're sending this out, and if they love us, and we kind of know they love us, now this is like a confirming mechanism to be like, yep, like let's get the renewal quote ready. If it's less than 9, then maybe we start branching here. And it's like, instead of creating renewal quote, it's like, let's reach out and set up a call. So lots of opportunity here. I think this is definitely a yes on the will it workflow. Will it workflow? Should it workflow? And how would we do it? Unequivocally yes on all these things.
I do think, and this is, this is the whole point of this. Yes, I think we could. Just bringing this up here, I'm just thinking you might need to be a little careful. Like, I triggered this from the survey response. It might be cleaner from like an associations of the quotes and the to trigger this. You can still trigger it based on a survey response, but starting with like either a contact or a company, whoever's like whatever your main sales cycle is focused on, like you want the association to be tied to, I guess is what I mean. So if I want to, when action happens, so if I did this from a contact, I might want when an event occurs, and then trigger it based on the association with the feedback survey at that point. So either a form submission, or I might need to finagle this a little more, but just that's going to get the associations a little cleaner with whatever you create. I think creating it off of the feedback survey itself is going to get messy on getting the association back. Does that make sense?
Right. So could we associate? Could we use association as a filter? Like with since it's its own object.
Survey.
I think there's been so much development in terms of being able to use associated records to manage workflows that I haven't seen a lot of people dig into. And this is a good example of, I think, like if you rely on the survey response itself versus bringing in a contact record that has association, and now you've got properties and all these things you can choose from. Like you're setting, I think that's probably our challenge with this, like with workflow is like, how do you set the context up, right? To successfully execute an automation without having to set up a bunch of custom properties and like all the usual stuff that, you know, maybe before a year or two ago, like you'd have to do to get to the end result.
Yeah, so the create renewal quote from contract, although that was selectable, there was no options on which contract from the feedback survey because a feedback survey is not connected to the contract. So then once I was able to do this, I will acknowledge that the way this is set up right now, people won't re-enroll. So if you're doing this on an annual basis, what I would do personally is I would use this exact same filter criteria in a list and then have the filter be added to the segment. And then they could re-enroll each year when the person is added to that segment.
Man, this feels like it needs to be its own series. Like, will it workflow? We could talk about this for the whole show. I'll end with
the
like,
tricky part of this always, Chris, is like, at first I'm like, okay, yes, it'll work. And then me, because of just who I am as a human, I'm like, okay, but just so everyone knows, just to know, if you actually want to do this at home.
Well, I think the challenge here is like, if you don't have your data model like with these things associated and you haven't managed your properties well enough, like you're not going to be able to do some of the things we talk about, even to the level of, especially we're talking contracts, renewal. Like if somebody does a 6 or lower, like, and it's related to something that's being delivered and that's where the feedback came from, then you could start off another, like a project record, like in HubSpot to say, hey, we've got to do something before we just go and ask for more money or send another quote or, you know, put our customer success person on an island. Hey, why'd you score that way? Like you could be proactive and say, all right, this is our triage project that fires when we get some, you know, some bad feedback or some constructive feedback about what's being delivered. And if we don't handle it, like they're not going to renew. So you have a ton of opportunity, but you have to decide to track your projects in HubSpot, like that you care about that inside of HubSpot to be able to, you know, workflow it to perfection. So,
all right. Well, one day we might find it won't workflow or it shouldn't workflow, but not yet. Not today.
Not today. Today's not that day for sure.
All right. And with just a couple minutes left.
Yep. Our quote unquote deep dive. I mean, we'll be talking about this one a lot, I imagine, over the next few months. Unbound Insiders. An update to the program. This will be my 4th year. Excited and grateful to be a part of the group of 70 plus, I think was announced yesterday. and just a ton of fun. And we'll be doing a ton of content to support this. How was your first time last year, Casey?
My first time was really good. This party actually was very good. The food was good, and I really liked the hat and bag spray paint, or not, that's not spray painting, but you know what I mean. Um, I'm a little jealous I'm not in this photo because
I know, right?
we were there, Chris. We were there. We were
We
on
were
the roof.
there. We promise.
We sat at a table right over here for a minute, or stood at a table. But um yeah, I'm super excited to be back. It was really cool last year. The coolest part to me of being an inbound insider was last year they got us access to interview people, and I ran with that. Actually, Gabrielle, who runs the program, said I had the most interviews, which I just filled out the list. Which I guess not everyone did. Like, you were able to do up to 10, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna fill out the list, and I guess maybe other people stopped at like 5 or something. Not me.
Right. I think my problem was I just picked like 10, like
Oh, biggest.
probably, yeah, really
You were
hard
like,
to get.
Darmesh.
Yep. Dharmesh, Yamini, like, hey, can't say yes if you don't put it on there.
You know
Maybe
what?
this year we'll build up enough street cred on the way there to get
I put
Dharmesh.
I put Amy Poehler on my list just in case, just in case. But I think I left Darmesh out because I think I was like, of everyone that could interview Darmesh, I don't know if I'm Chris would do a better job than
And
me.
now
So
you're teaching people AI. How far you've come, Casey. I think you could handle it this year. Yeah, and like just a shout out to Gabby and the team. They continue to make the program. They continue to invest in the program and improve
Mhm,
it and add more people. It was awesome last year to be able to record the morning show from the booth, from
mhm.
the media network booth live at Inbound. Um, and so, fingers crossed we'll be able to do similar things this
Mhm.
year. But yeah, really excited to talk about that more in the coming months.
All right.
Is that where we wrap for today?
That's it. We did pretty well on time too, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So until tomorrow, everybody, we'll see you next time.